welcome back to Attingham Park, and today's main job is to finish off the grain harvesting. So we have the barley field still to harvest, which we're going to tackle today. But first thing, the sheep have kind of run out of feed overnight, so the grazing is not providing them with enough food, it seems. So going to get them some food. So we've got some grain mix left in the silo. We do need to mix a whole load more, which will be really useful once we've got the barley harvested, because that's so I'm just looking here, we sold about £35,000 worth of milk overnight, which is kind of awesome. Yeah, we're going to need to make a bunch of grain mix probably in the next video. We have harvested the wheat already. We've got a decent amount of wheat in the silo. We've got a big field of barley to harvest. We haven't got any oats, but my plan is to buy oats from the Doika bulk buy point. So as you can see, all the sheep have left is a little bit of moisture food and a little bit of hay. So the grain mix is their power food, so we'll put some of that in. We've got the mini bales of whole crop silage there, so we'll be using some of those up. And we happen to have a box of carrots over here that I'd completely forgotten about, which will be incredibly useful. And we still have that patch of grass, and I forgot where the trigger was. The trigger is actually inside the fence, which is a little bit annoying, but we can reach over with the telehandler. Yeah, that patch of grass that seems to have died off mysteriously has not recovered yet, so we are going to need to stitch some fresh grass into there at some point. I'm just doubting myself, so just checking that yes, in fact I can feed grain mix. So we just need to get in the trigger, which is really weird that it won't pick up that last few percent. Yeah, so just using F5 to bring up the triggers and stuff, and annoyingly I've left one of them on, you can see there, but yeah, the trigger is there. So the hay has not dried yet, so we're not going to be tackling that today, and I really want to get that barley field harvested anyway. I then need to go through and work out what we're going to plant for next year, because I haven't really thought about that yet. Not sure how much root crops we have left. So we might do a field of, I'm not sure whether we'll do potatoes or beets. I'll have to have a look and see which one we can feed to the most types of animals without having to gut them. That might be beets again. We'll probably plant a mixture of grains again, and some maize obviously for silage, and CCM, which we're going to be doing at some point. I'm not sure when that cornfield is going to be ready to harvest, but yeah, we'll be cooking, harvesting, and then milling and fermenting CCM. We won't be cooking CCM. That sounds kind of grim. Yes, ultimately it's just corn, which is probably the basis of like a huge percentage of food that people eat in the world by the time you think about the amount of corn syrup and stuff. But yeah, so these bales we can pick up by hand. They're only 80 kilos, and that's partly why I did them, and also just because it's really easy to balance the feeding of the sheep with the smaller bale size. It's a question that's come up a couple of times on the maizePlus Discord as to how do you feed sheep when you need to put so many different things in it, and their feed troughs are so small. This is how you use smaller bales. I know certainly a lot for me in the past as well, in FS it's always been about making the biggest bale possible. I know in FS19 I almost always used the variable bale capacity mod and made really big bales, because you want the biggest bale possible. But actually with maizePlus in FS22 you don't. You want a mixture of bale sizes. So like the little HD bale base game baler is really useful. Just making smaller bales with the standard balers, 4D Modding's balers, because they support maizePlus. So maybe his D1000 I think it is, that makes slightly smaller bales. I think that one is supported by maizePlus. Don't shoot me if it's not. I know his Heston baler is, and I'm pretty sure Paul said that the other one is. I have not played with them. I tend to not like smaller balers, but actually with maizePlus they're more useful. I had 4D Moddings, I think it was the D1000 on Calmston, almost, and I baled half a field of hay and went, you know, that's too many bales, particularly as I was manually handling them, so, or you know, using a bale front loader thing. So you can see my buddy Kartek is over there mixing some TMR. It's kind of cool. It's a while since I've been over this side of the map, and I had forgotten almost added in the vehicles and the cows and stuff, so that's really cool. Something I did speak about in the maypole video is on here I'm running the enhanced animal system. I don't think I have it enabled, but I probably should. In fact, I need to once I update it, because I haven't updated it in this one yet. If the animals are at 0% health, so if you haven't fed them, they will die. That's going to affect the field of beef in front of me, because grazing does not feed all of those, so we are going to have to feed them to keep them alive, which is probably something we should be doing anyway. It was just a bit of a hack to make them profitable. But the cows that are in the field next to us, so I'm getting myself confused here. I think I can see another field in the distance, but it's not there. It's the end of this field. Yeah, I know. Anyway, so yeah, because I haven't edited that pasture to support grazing, and I don't know if there'll be enough feed from grazing to actually feed them. What I'm probably going to do is do what GB Modding did for the animals at the store on here, and edit the capacity of the pasture and go into the XML and just put in like millions of litres of food just to keep them alive. I don't think we'll ever be expanding to that yard, or maybe we would. See, the fact that animals die now, or can die, is going to have to change how I'm running this farm, because my intent was always that I would only fatten the beef. So when they got to a good selling, this is the bit of the field that I thought was a separate field. Yeah. When the beef get to a good selling age, I was going to move them out of the big open pasture, put them into a smaller enclosure and fatten them. Now I'm going to need to feed them to keep them alive, which I know, I realise how dumb that sounds. So I don't really need to think about that. What I need to think about is an efficient way of feeding them cheaply, and that might be, I don't know, we might bulk it out with more straw actually, because we have quite a lot of straw. So yeah, I haven't worked out yet. I recorded this before that update released, or some of it. I certainly haven't updated it in this one, so it's something I need to think about for the next video as to how we're going to do that, because yeah, that's thrown a slight spanner in the works, but I like that kind of feature. I think I spoke about it on the Maple video, because I think I was recording the commentary for that after that update to the enhanced animal system came out, and I miss lots of those features. I miss that animals die. Again, sounds weird. You know, so I'm going to switch it on. I just need to adapt. That means that it's going to be tricky to make money out of beef. I think I need to look back at my own video, or at least my own spreadsheets, because the conclusions of that video are a bit of a blur, sadly. Because we're not getting manure off of here. I remember, because we needed to put manure through the BGA to make them profitable, and we don't get manure off of here. So maybe the smart change, and I'm really thinking on the fly here, I've not thought this through yet, would be how many it can hold, to buy Cartex cattle field, move the beef into that, and get crop off of that field, because that's a big field that the cows are grazing, and it doesn't seem to be yielding as much as I would expect in terms of how much it's feeding them. So yeah, that might be an option actually, that we move all of our beef over to the yard next door, start getting manure and slurry off of them. We can feed them, and then maybe we can install a BGA. In fact, we have the BGA already. What am I saying? We've got 2 BGAs. So yeah, that might be a way to recover this situation. We'll start getting crop off of that field, which is a big field. We'll get some grazing benefit off of the land that they're on. And yeah, I think we might need to do that. I'm sorry, Cartec. I think we're going to have to bully you out of your farm. That's... I think that's probably the way to go. Don't know if there are any other cow yards on on Attingham. It can, if you guys know, because I haven't looked around the map yet, and you might comment, you might see this video before I get to. Are there any other cow farms on Attingham? I have a feeling there are only two. If there's a third one, then maybe I could look at that, because I quite like having neighbours, which is weird because I don't like having neighbours in real life. But there you go. Speaking of which, and actually it was a bit of a pain last night when we were streaming, because they are still doing some work, but the building work has slowed down dramatically next door. I think they've moved in. It's kind of hard to tell because there's signs of furniture. There's occasionally signs that they might be living there now, but it's not massively obvious. So yeah, but there's a lot less drilling going on. There was a bit of hammer drilling last night. I think they're in the phase of like putting pictures and curtains and all that kind of stuff up. So yeah. I don't know if I've spoken about it in the last, because the last two videos that I did, I recorded with the new setup. I think I might have mentioned it. I really quite like it. It needs a lot of cable managing still, but I like the height of the monitors. It's forcing me to sit more upright, which is going to be only a good thing for my posture and some of my, I have neck problems from a car accident, and slouching at a desk all day does not help that. So yeah. I really like it. I can fit the one of the things that I've changed is, so I quite often when I'm working, I have my work laptop plugged into all the monitors and the keyboard and stuff, and I have that next to me, and I actually have a space now where I can put the old Dell laptop. It's probably not something I'm going to experiment with until the new year, but I have some things I want to play with where I have two computers that I can use Farm Sim on at the same time. So yeah. That will be limited on what saves I can use it on, possibly, because I don't have all the DLCs on my laptop. Actually, linked to that, and it's not linked to this save, it's linked to Maypole, and I don't know if you remember me saying that, if you're watching that series, where I have a custom better contracting setup of all the old vehicles, and I found that when I enabled the DLCs came in, and they were really dominant over the custom setup. I commented on metrics, I'm not sure how to say the mod creator's name. I commented on his GitHub. He responded within a few hours and sent me a test version over that unfortunately didn't work, but so I'm hoping that's going to be something that will become an option as well, that you can turn off DLCs in contract equipment. Because yeah, there are some bits that I would like from the DLCs in that save, but I'm not enabling them because it wipes out like half of the contracts, at least half of the contracts. Switching the Platinum DLC on, suddenly there's a tractor in there that I hadn't realised. I think that's got like a forestry arm on it, and suddenly that's used for half the freaking contracts. I don't want that. So yeah, it's something that I'm really bad at, but I would say quite a lot is, if you've got something that others have told me as well when I've had issues with mods, if you can get hold of the mod creator, talk to them, because they might be interested in helping with that. And it seems that he had seen my video on the setup that I have on Maypole. So yeah, I'm hoping that will be something that he can manage to resolve, because that would be really cool. I'd like to put pumps and hoses on there to maybe play with the manure separator. It's something that I haven't touched yet, and I might use it on here in a video. So one of the problems I have at the moment, and it's where a video doing something with the beef would be handy, maybe playing with the manure separator would be handy. I'm looking at my list of next videos to record. Greenlands, do hay. Maypole Farm, do hay and straw. Attingham, do hay and straw. And it's like, they've all, I've said it before, somehow I find that series all get in sync. It's probably because I skip the same parts, I skip winter quite often, or a lot of winter. And they've all got to the point now where the next 3 videos I have to make, so the next one on each series is going to be baling hay and baling straw. And that's, in terms of playing the game, I don't care. They're activities I like. In terms of creating varied content for the channel, it's a bit sucky. So, I might do a video on here on the manure separator. I might look at moving the beef cattle and working out how we're going to feed those and make that into a video, just to kind of break things up, because I don't want every video to be me doing the same job, even though I try and do them differently on the different farms. They all have different kit. I don't think it makes for an interesting channel if every series is at the same point. So it's it's why I did the pigs as a separate video. It breaks up some of these, you know, repeated activities that are part of playing the game that we all enjoy. But you know, I think from a variety on a YouTube channel point of view, then it's really worth trying to create different things. And yeah, sorting out feeding the cows is going to be an interesting next challenge, or feeding the beef cattle. Yeah, I think we've got dairy cows sorted. What I keep saying it, and what I really should do is create a TMR mix that we feed our dairy cows, and then a TMR mix that we feed our beef cattle, and have those in the game fixed, so that I'm, you know, doing things properly. I'm as probably as guilty as some of the rest of you. And when I'm in a hurry, particularly between videos, I will do the minimum I can to progress. At the end of this video, the cows had run out of food, and I wanted to not forget, but I wanted to shut the game down because I had other stuff that I wanted to do. So I just did a really quick mix of grass silage and maize silage, bunged that in, and they were good. But yeah, I think I'm going to change that. And I was looking at, as I was harvesting this field, I was looking at how much grass the cows are not grazing. Yeah, don't get me wrong, Hilly did an awesome job of creating that pasture for me. Creating a grazing area and a custom mesh that big is awesome. But I was already thinking that maybe we could use some of that for indirect grazing. But actually, what I think would be better now, given where the change in the enhanced animal system, is looking at moving all those cows into another shed. And that will be kind of good, I think, because at the moment they're really hands-off. They're just in the field. We drive past them occasionally. That's quite nice seeing them in the field. But I think it will be a more engaging experience for me, and it'll, yeah, I think it will just be better to move them into a separate shed at this point, to A, create something for me to do, and B, to start getting some money off them, because yeah, beef cattle are not particularly profitable, and I was cheating that by not feeding them. So if we're going to have to feed them, then we need to start making money out of them, and that means putting their manure and slurry through a BGA. And we have the BGA already, I'm just not really using it. So yeah, but yeah, I'm going to have to set grazing up on that pasture. I might, yeah, I think I might have done it actually. I just haven't got it enabled on the save because I didn't copy them all in, or I might have updated mass on that. I'm going to start grazing on that pasture, and I think maybe the next video we're going to be moving into our new farm. I might purchase, I don't know if it's part of the farm actually, the field next to us as well, because that'd be a nice little root crop field. Yeah, I think that's the way to go. I think that's the way to go. Something I do like about this map is the NPC non-purchasable fields around the boundary. So that field in front of us you can't buy, but the NPC farmers cycle through planting crops and stuff in there, and it really brings a little bit of realism to the boundary. Yeah, so we're pretty much done with the harvest now. We've got a fair bit off of here. I'm not exactly sure how much we got, because like last time I forgot to reset the precision farming yield info. So we've got a mixture of, I reset it before I cut the whole crop silage off of here. So we've got a mixture of how much whole crop silage we got when I mowed the 2 headlands, and the grain yield. So it's kind of skewed the numbers a bit, because you get, if you mow for whole crop silage, you get a really good yield. So yeah, I think we got well over or close to 100,000 litres of whole crop silage off those 2 headlands, and then whatever grain we've got plus the straw. And the straw is going to go in our new cow yard, because that solves 2 problems that I had. And yeah, we've got £1 million in the bank, and if I need to, I can just add more, because I said this save is not about money, it's about gameplay and different mechanics within maizePlus. And now we've got the enhanced animal system that I've brought into this now, and that brings in another element, which is animals dying. So we're going to have to adapt the farm. And I think the way we'll adapt it is we'll set ourselves up a satellite farm, because it saves moving kit, next door effectively, and that's going to be our beef farm. There's plenty of shed space and stuff, so we can store excess bales over there if we need to. I think that's going to really solve some of my issues with where I was going to store the straw. We've got one field of hay that's on the ground drying. I'm going to cut more hay, so we'll have a whole load of hay bales to store. And yeah, I think we're probably going to do a mix for the beef, which is focused around grass. So it'll be hay, grass silage, straw, maybe some brewer's grain or something like that, or some beet pulp, both. Yeah, I think that's what we'll do. I think that's my plan. So we'll switch the combine off, jump in the JCB, and get the last of the grain out of the combine. And somehow we've got through this whole thing without me talking very much at all about combining, and a lot about other random stuff. That tends to be how it goes, doesn't it? So yeah, I'm really enjoying the break from work. My brain is almost switched off. What sucks is the dogs still wake me up stupidly early. So this morning I was awake before 5 o'clock. And that's left me really tired. I think the really tiredness is just, the come down off a busy few months, and my body going, yeah, you need to slow down and rest a bit. So that's fine. That's fine. It's part of being on holiday. It's kind of nice to just chill out, watch TV with Mrs. D, and play video games, and yeah, it's kind of nice. It would just be nice to feel a little bit more energized. So we've got 190,000 litres of wheat and 180,000 litres of barley. So a little bit of oats, and we're probably going to be good for making a whole load of grain mix, which is going to feed a lot of that's going to go to the pigs, a little bit to the sheep, some to the cows. Yeah, and if we need to, we can buy oats from the yellow Doika silo you can see there. That lets us buy feed grain, or we can buy them from the farm supply pack, which is obviously a really cheap way of buying your feed grains. Yeah. So we have options. I'm not sure what order this video is going to come out in, because I've got some videos recorded and I'm not sure when I'm going to release them. So this may or may not be before the Can You Make Money from Pigs video. It probably is after. And yeah, I talk about the farm supply pack in there a lot. And we have pigs now, so it was kind of cool to actually get that done and understand when I can maximize the income from them. So if you're curious, go watch that video. And it's there was one mistake in there. I've corrected it in the edit with a bit of a layover, and the enhanced animal system, in the settings there's a thing that suggests it reduces the value of the animals by 25%, but one of the guys on Discord was testing it for me, and I mentioned it, and he said he hadn't seen that. I hadn't tested it before I made the video. I had stupidly assumed it worked, so I went did a quick check this morning and re-edited the video, and it doesn't seem like that reduction applies at the moment. So you can make more than the graphs show in that video with the enhanced animal system added in. So yeah, it's a really good addition for things like pigs, and counter some of my concerns for things like beef, because I think I mentioned that in a video recently, that if you're trying to raise beef and you're reducing the value of the animals even more, that's bad, but it doesn't seem to be the case. Once it starts working, because I'm assuming it's something that should be working, you can change it in the settings so that it doesn't reduce the value anyway. So the enhanced animal system is another one of those mods where you can customize it a lot to how you want it set up. You can change how big each litter is with different probabilities, and how it deals with a whole load of stuff. So I still plan to make a video on it at some point, but I'm not sure when. So I'm kind of in a cycle at the moment of having videos planned. So yeah, we'll see when I actually get around to doing that. We have made a lot of bales. I didn't get a final number at the end. We'll have a look next time when we are stacking them in the new yard. I can't remember. And I don't have the F1 menu. The F1 menu would be no use because the bale counter is a total bale counter still since I added the Vermeer pack in. So yeah, we'll find out when we collect them up and stack them. Yeah, it's quite a lot, as you can see. Even though we were making 240 centimetre bales, I think it was, we got quite a few. That's no bad thing, if I'm honest. It's quite nice to have lots of straw bales, given that we are going to be starting to bed down more cows. Yeah. And we've got the pigs to bed down as well. They're not using that much because we've only got 4, but that's quite quickly going to increase. Depending on how many of the piglets we sell, that will increase very rapidly. So yeah, I'd say thank you to the YouTube channel members and the patrons. Appreciate you guys supporting the channel. And also, if you enjoyed the video, click the like button. Comments, questions, or suggestions below. And if you aren't and you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications for a lot more videos like that. And if that ending seemed rushed, it's because I've been waffling and I just realized the edit was ending. See you next time.